Everyone, this is Gary. Hope you all are doing well. Welcome to this week's live webinar for Path of Prosperity for all of you who are in either of the 5 programs, investor agent or flipping or buying rentals or managing rentals or wholesaling. Welcome aboard. So we are live. We're not started yet. We're all live. And by default, for those of you who are new, you recognize that you're actually automatically on mute mode. So in any case, let me just check a few things out here, guys, before we get started. We need a few more people also to sign in. So let me just check all the equipment, make sure you guys are okay. Looks like we're okay here. So I'm going to just type in use a message here. Hang on just 1 second. Here we go. All right. Can you see my screen and hear my voice? So if you guys could get back to me on that, I just sent you a message. Check it out. Make sure everything's okay on your end. Okay, great. Everybody says they can see my screen and hear my voice. Excuse me. And by the way, I apologize. My voice is I should be okay for the next hour. I think I got a little bit of a cold this past weekend at the 3-day event in Chicago, but I've been teaching and of course doing webinars yesterday and today. So probably just a little bit, voice a little bit fatigued, but that's okay. We're in good shape. All right, looks like almost everybody's here. Hey, by the way, if you do have questions, go ahead and type those in. What we're going to do tonight, we're going to go over how do you actually get the properties, okay? It's been sort of a hot topic lately. So I know most of you, if not all of you, have already seen the letter that we use. There's 2 different forms of letters. One is a informal or mom and pop letter. The other one is informal. I'm sorry, that one is informal. The formal one is the one that's we use for larger properties, ones that are corporate owned, things like that. In any case, that's the subject for tonight. I'm going to show you how to use some county property tax records, some public records, bank filings, things like that, to really help narrow things down to the right owners of the right properties. So we don't mess around and waste a lot of time. We actually go after the best of the best. But before we do, a little bit of housekeeping. If everyone could please go ahead and make sure you're okay, audio, video. Also, tomorrow you automatically will get a recording of this. So always look for the emails from Beverly that include these recordings every week. And also there's updates in there, updates to the systems, the different platforms, updates to the content of the like training content, for example, different tools and things like that that were being modified. So look for that. There's also schedules. She puts out the schedule for the upcoming webinars, different events and dates, things like that. So it's an informational email, and it's really important. If you take a look at that, guys, you'll stay current with everything. As far as my whereabouts, I'm actually in Ohio right now. I'll be here for this week and next week. And then the week after, next weekend, I'll be down in Virginia, then back up in Toronto, and then back down in Virginia again for Thanksgiving. After that, I'll be in Toronto all the way through till just the weekend before Christmas. So no classes between American Thanksgiving and Christmas, although we will be doing more webinars that will have the usual weekly webinars, but also there are a series of other webinars, and there are ones that where we, every year we promote the other training programs. We haven't done that much this year because of the 3-day events. We're going to go ahead and roll those out all in December. Of course, as always, there's always a break there for you guys, on pricing and so forth. There'll be some other people joining us from different groups too. But probably the most important thing is the week of Thanksgiving. That webinar is going to be on Monday, November 19th. Okay, that's the week of Thanksgiving, American Thanksgiving. That night, we're actually going to roll out the affiliate program for you. So every one of you has the ability to be rewarded for referring people. In other words, you can earn, I think it's like 20%, $400 or $500, something like that, just for bringing somebody else in. So that's never been an official offering. It's just always been implied. But a lot of programming has been put into place to roll it out to you so that you have what you need. If somebody asks you about it or you're happen to be talking about it, they want information, you'll have the information you need to give them on all the different training programs. You don't have to do anything other than that. My investor services will do the heavy lifting. You just simply make an introduction, and as a result, you can earn yourself, a few $100 a pop. So it's pretty easy. In any case, we're going to roll that out on the 19th. And one of the purposes of the additional webinars in December is to give you fresh recordings and content for the other training programs. So you'll learn from them and about them. Obviously there's no cost to you at all. You'll get some learning out of it, and also you'll have what you need to help other people understand more fully what they are. So in any case, keep an eye out for that. That's sort of our end of your Hanukkah or Christmas gift for you, if you will. So absolutely no cost to you. I mean, you get to make money doing it. It's always been out there. It's just never been in a formal, presented formally in a offer with materials and tools you can actually use for yourselves and for your clients. So in any case, enough said. By default, you're in mute mode again. If you have questions, please type them in the question box. From time to time, I will unmute you. Probably won't need to do that tonight, but we could. We've got a lot of new folks on, so welcome aboard. Actually, we got a lot of veterans too. Cedric Farrell, how you doing, man? Hey, Cedric, so we got the next webinar for the special meetup groups. That's next week. I forget the exact day, but I know we set, next Tuesday, if that is, actually a week from today. So look forward to that. Also look forward to seeing you, man, when I get out there after the holidays. I'll be in San Diego first couple of weeks in January, then doing a special event for one of my masterminds out in Breckenridge, and then I'll be up your neck of the woods, Orange County and Ellie and all that, for probably about 2 months. So we'll have plenty of time to hang out and maybe go jump in the water a little bit if you like the water, of course, with wetsuits out there. But in any case, welcome aboard to everybody here. New agents, veteran agents, Americans, Canadians. Hey, Genevieve, how you doing? Lady, Shirley, Stephen, Bill Moreau, good to see you again. Hope things are doing well down in Pennsylvania and New Jersey. So, okay, let's go ahead and get hopping here, guys. First things first is, for a lot of the marketing campaigns that we do, whether we're doing this as an investor or as an agent representing an investor, it's usually the same steps. The content is very, very similar. And the reason is everything that we've done, we've all done it as investors. And all we did is we repackaged it for agents to work with investors with some tweaking to scripting and so forth. So what I want to do tonight is go over not just the letter itself, but how we actually use the letter, and also knowing who do we actually send the letter to, okay? So we're going to start with this. We call this the mom and pop letter. Almost all of you have seen me go over this in some type of a public setting, in classrooms or 3-day events. So I don't know that we need to go over this tonight. Actually, if you want me to, guys, if you want me to go over this letter here, like the language patterns behind this, just give me a shout out on the question box and I'll do that if you guys want to do that. Otherwise, we've got a lot to cover. I'm going to show you how to go to the banks, how to identify what banks to work with. I'll show you how to use your public records to look at court records. And I'm also going to show you how to use your county's tax assessor's data so that we know exactly how to target the properties we're going to be looking for, okay? But nonetheless, the letter is the center of attention. I've gone over it a bunch of times, but if you do want to cover it, just let me check the question box here. Jeff Johnson says, just sent out 50-day. All right, Jeff, way to go, man. Let's see here. That's pretty impressive. Okay, this is Genevieve. Let's see, Genevieve's asking, hello, Gary, always a pleasure to see you. Hope your daughter is doing great. Thanks, Genevieve. Yeah, I'll be seeing her not this weekend, Genevieve, but next weekend and again at Christmas. Also, Genevieve, I want to tell you, I know you're up in Montreal, but I'll be in Toronto from Saturday night after American Thanksgiving all the way to the Thursday before Christmas. If you're ever down there in that neck of the woods, just please look me up. I'm literally going to be doing stuff every single day, so I can't really leave for any length of time other than just a few hours. I'll be free in the afternoons and evenings, but if you got any reason to be down there, obviously just let me know. We can grab a bite to eat or something. So appreciate you asking about Annie too, by the way. Thank you. Okay, let's see. Al Blanchard says Bev is the best. Hey, Al, guess what? She actually listens to these after they're recorded, so she's going to hear that and see that. So thanks for doing that. She's going to appreciate it. Okay, everybody's saying they're okay okay on audio and video. Let me just go back down and check for other questions. Cedric says, okay, excellent. Good, Cedric. Okay, let's see. Jeff Johnson. All right, we're all caught up. So let me jump into the checklist. So that's the letter here. If you guys want me to go over the letter, the language patterns, just let me know that. It's sometime during the webinar tonight. I'll go over that. But for right now, I want to go over the checklist. Okay, we're going to go over the checklist, and I'm going to show you a couple of different tools you can use to enhance the effectiveness of the letter. Excuse the background noise. I'm drinking. What is it? Airborne is what it is. Effervescent, trying to knock this cold out here. Okay, first things first. Before you ever use a letter, it doesn't matter if you're an agent or an investor, or in some cases both, which is of course what I think you should be. You always want to determine your goals, right? In other words, there's high level, which is I'm looking for flips versus I'm looking for rentals. Okay, the letter works both ways. I'll demonstrate both ways later on. And so specifically the type of property you're looking at: single family homes, multi-units, et cetera, et cetera. Also, how much and how many. See, this is important because if you're looking for, if you need to buy or want to buy several duplexes, there's some areas of different municipalities that have more duplexes than other areas. Okay, some areas have larger properties, some have no multi-units, for example. But case in point is, we can search by property type, and if we know certain neighborhoods have a lot of duplexes, we can certainly target those areas. I'll show you that in a little bit. But the main thing is just to always start this off with a goal. Okay. The next thing is to get a copy of the letter yourself. By the way, what I'll do tonight is I'm gonna Beverly's gonna hear this. I'm gonna have her send to everybody on this recording the checklist for the letter, which is this, and the letter itself. Okay, and then you'll see the links here as I go through the links tonight. But let's go back to the checklist, right? So you want to get a copy of the letter for yourself, a Word document, and of course that's what we give you is the original Word document. All right. We always use first things first. We always use the three-step process on how to know exactly where we go look. Now, if you think back a few weeks, we actually went over this step 4 in a prior webinar. Using a school report, we actually built it and used it to narrow things down to school area and price range. And then we use Melissa data, all right, to figure out specific neighborhoods in specific zip codes, in specific school areas, to know how to narrow down our search. We're basically micro marketing. We're not macro marketing. We're not casting a wide net. We're looking for specific owners of specific properties. And that's why we have such a high success rate. We don't fool around using old techniques. Okay, it's the difference between net fishing and spear fishing. We don't net fish, we spear fish. We know exactly what we want, and we shoot at it. We go after exactly what we want. So, in any case, the next thing is to use public records to get names and addresses of people who are going through some of those life-changing events, like divorce, bankruptcy, foreclosure, probate, landlord-tenant cases, so forth and so on. And we use the letter, all right, and send it to the owners of the properties we know we want in the areas where we know we want them. Okay, so it's very, very highly targeted. And we do that by using these techniques. So that's step 5. Step 6 is send the letter to only those recipients identified in the previous steps. Do not mass mail the letter. I mean, you can do it. Believe me, I've had students do it. They just don't want to do the legwork up front, and they send out hundreds and thousands of them. The thing is you don't know who you're going to get sometimes. We want to pre-select our audience. That's why we go through all this effort. We don't want to cast a wide net because we don't go through all those phone calls of people that we, quite frankly, have no business speaking with. Okay. So in any case, because this is a direct response campaign, the long term is direct marketing, reverse lead generating. That's the long term. The short version is direct response. Because of the nature of the marketing, we actually have to do that repeated as many as 12 times, okay? And most direct marketing campaigns are repeated 12 times. Okay, now once someone has responded to you, of course, you can drop them from future mailings. You don't have to keep mailing them if they've already responded. All right, and you do this based on demand. So you only use the letter when you have specific demand for specific types of property. So I want everybody to write that down. That's one of the critical distinctions of this technique, and it's one of the reasons why it works so well. Okay. Now, another thing you can do is this. Obviously, we send this thing out as up to 12 times, but something else to consider is, let's say you're in an area where you've been using the letter, and you're driving down the road and you see somebody putting on a roof or installing windows or painting or whatever on a property that you've been sending the letter for. In the case of a rental, the letter is probably going somewhere else, obviously the owner's address and not the rental property address. But nonetheless, let's say somebody's there working on the property. Well, we call this the mom and pop letter because, quite frankly, it's going to usually owners of smaller properties. And when you go by those smaller properties and you see somebody out there working, who is it likely to be? That's right. It's often the owner themselves, right? A lot of small mom and pop rental owners do their own handiwork. And even if it's not them, chances are the person who's there working is working directly for the owner. Okay. So what I'm getting at is this: is you can follow up by, if you're near an area that you've been using a letter in, go by the property or properties where you've been addressing, and see if somebody's there. Okay. If it's not the owner, if it's someone who works for them, obviously you can ask them for the contact information. Just say, I've been trying to reach Mr. and Mrs. So-and-so. They're going to realize you know what you're doing because you've got the owner's name. Okay. Any case, at this point, you step into your role to get an interview with that person, or interview with the owner, right? The reality is this is what's going to put you in position to make your move. Either make an offer, get the property listed, whatever it is, have your conversation with them, because that's how you're going to get properties. That's how you're going to get listings. In any case, that's the checklist. What I want to do right now is let's go back here. All right. And we're going to go to Melissa data. All right. The reason I'm starting here is a few weeks back, we went over school report and Melissa data to a degree, and we kind of left off there. So I wanted to bring this back up again. And here's the actual URL up here. So I just clicked on it, so it's highlighted for you. All right. Now, Genevieve and everyone in Canada, there's a different process we use for Canada Post, and it's actually a module 1 of your training material. Similar process, just obviously different database, different tools, but it allows us to arrive at micro areas of focus as opposed to macro marketing, right? So in any case, that's the URL, melissadata.com/lookups, //cart zip, CARTZIP.ASP, and that's where you stop. The reason it says a zip code in here is I've actually typed one in, but you hit the ASP is where you can stop. You hit the enter key and you'll get a screen. It looks just like this, and you type in the zip code. Okay, so I typed in 15229 because I know there's rentals in this area, right? In fact, I can tell by scrolling down and looking at the apartment count, there's clearly a lot of apartments. And remember, wherever there's a lot of apartments, we almost always have more rentals. It's just of course, a natural phenomenon of real estate. Wherever you have a higher concentration of apartments, you have a higher concentration of rentals. It doesn't mean that every apartment is rented. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying that in that area, even single-family homes are more prone to be rentals, okay, because of the nature there. Look, there's lots of businesses here and lots of apartments. Okay, this is high population density probably. All right. By the way, we can see how many people live there. We can see what they make, and we can see the average property value. Okay. And I can tell you this, here's what's interesting. This area here has gone up probably 50% in the last, I guess, 6 years. Just an amazing thing. And by the way, all the salaries are also up about 50%. Okay. So this is, you can get a real good bird's eye view of what's happening in the economy by using Melissa data. Okay. And if you want to track it over the years, you can do screenshots and save them in a file, and you can see how things have changed over the years. So in any case, we use this, and we focus on zip codes that have lots of apartments. So this is a zip code that has lots of apartments, all right? So far, so good. So in other words, I would look in this area, 143. I'd look in this area, 158, okay? And I'd look in this area, 188. All right, because I know I have a higher probability of locating rentals in those areas. So let me do this. Let me do a quick check on questions, because we went over the checklist so far, and we've also just went into Melissa there. So let me see if we have any questions. All right, hang on one second. Apartment count is units correct? Yes. So Jeff, this is individual units. Now the question is, Jeff, is we don't actually know the internal makeup of the 188. That could be made up of duplexes, triplexes, fourplexes, 10-unit buildings, 20-unit buildings, 50-unit buildings. That we just don't know that. This Postal Service doesn't tell us that. I mean, they give us a lot of good information. And by the way, these values over here, guys, these values come from your tax assessor, your property tax assessor for your municipality, and it's more accurate. In other words, instead of using the MLS, we have this information that gives us reflects all of the transactions in the area in its entirety. So it's far more complete and far more accurate than anything we get on the MLS. Also, these map buttons are clickable. So check this out, guys. I'm going to click on the map view here. We're going to look at this area from the view of the postal carriers, right? And voila, there you go. So you go down here, you can see the area. So let's do this. Let's expand this. Let's zoom in. I'm going to see if I can see, because I used to own a property down here. I'm not sure what direction I'm going here. Let's see, maybe it's down here. Nope, that's not it. In any case, the cool thing is you can see, I mean, you can get a bird's eye view of this area, and it works for any area, basically any zip code in the country. Pretty cool stuff, huh? So I'm going to see if I can find, well, so instead of taking up your time, let's do this. I just want to show you what's possible here, right? So you get to see the streets and everything, right? They give you all that detail. So let's blow this back down. So we saw that area. That's one carrier route. Let's go back to where we were. There we go. And let's look at this carrier route. Okay. Here we go. When you guys get the picture, what I'm getting at is you get a real good view of the carrier route. And you can see these are not circles or squares. They're all kinds of odd shapes. We call these polygons. And what you can do is this, if you are going to search the MLS, is mimic this view and draw a polygon on your MLS search page to match this whole area. Okay, pretty neat stuff. So let's go back here. That's Melissa data. I'm going to go back and check and make sure we're okay on questions. So that was Jeff's question. Yeah, I think we're okay. All right, so now let's do this. We've got Melissa data. We can see carrier routes. We see data, occupancy data, salary data, and property value data. We can look at the actual carrier route itself. But what I want to do right now is go to the county's property tax assessors database. Okay. Now, by the way, I just want to preface this. Every county has this. Some are better than others. And by the way, this is true in the US and Canada. However, there are some municipalities where this data, the property tax records, are housed at the municipal level and not the county level. That's the thing I wanted to mention to you. So this is particularly true in places like New Jersey and New York. I was just there in August and September. I'm there every 2 years for a couple of months, and I can tell you that they're definitely different there. All right. In fact, I was in Ohio teaching course this week, and yesterday a lender came in and he said they lend in all states except New Jersey and New York. But he didn't really elaborate any further. It's just things are just more difficult there. It's just different. I mean, all of our norms we have to read. I was on a student call with Susan By the other day. I'm sorry, last week, and we had to drill down and we figured out how to actually search by lot, like we call them lot and blocks in the States, and we could find all the multi-units, all the areas we wanted by searching by lot, which was really neat. And we were afraid we're gonna have to pay for it, but we don't have to pay for it. So it just takes time sometimes to figure this out. But in any case, here's what I'm getting at. You can come into here in this property tax assessor database and type in, you can search by parcel ID, right? So we're searching by address now. Actually, you don't even need the actual address, guys. You can just type in this street name and the municipality. So we were just looking at Westview, and I know Center Avenue is a main artery running through Westview, right? So we can click on that. In fact, let's do that. Okay, actually I already did. So here we go. We're looking at Center Avenue in Westview. If we start at page 1, which is we're on now, and you don't see a house number like this is a house number, 1 to 7, number 40, Center Avenue. Wherever you see just Center Avenue, these are actually lots. These are basically building lots that don't have an improvement on that. There's no house on these lots where there's no street number, no house number, okay? So let's just move forward here. So we can look up 40 Center Avenue. We can click on the lot and block ID. Let's just pull this up and see what that place looks like. So it's owned by Reinhold and Deborah Krischke. I don't know those guys, but this is an office building, 1 to 2 stories, okay? We can see what the tax assessor thinks it's worth, $206,000. So they got to pay taxes on $206,000. All right. And by the way, the owner, here's why we like this, guys. I want you to really focus in on this. So this is the subject property. This may be a property that we're looking at to purchase. We know the property's address. We know the owner's name, but more importantly, if we go down here, we actually have the owner's address. You can see 251 Westview Drive in Wexford is different than this property's address, which is Center Avenue in Pittsburgh. What that means is the U.S. Postal Service calls this absentee owner. It's actually non-owner occupied. The owner doesn't live there, right? So we can tell that easily. So here's the thing I want you to write down. I'm not going to show you this tonight because this thing would go 2 hours, but everything I'm showing you here on the county's tax assessor's database, guys, can actually be purchased. You can send the county, you have usually a process you have to go through, a form you send in with your payment for $50, and they will send you a disc of the county's property files, every parcel in the county in its entirety, owner's information, property information, tax information, everything you could possibly want to know on the properties. I often buy those because then I can then load them onto my computer and do my own searching by any category. See, these search fields are limited. Usually you get a search by address or the lot and block. But so in any case, let's take a picture. Let's take a look at the what this place looks like. Okay, and there it is right there. Not too big of a building, but looks kind of like a nice looking solid brick building. So we can see the picture of it. We can see the comparables. This is what the tax assessor believes is going to be of similar value. Actually, I'm sorry, they don't do that a lot of times on commercial properties. I forgot about that. It says here, this is among 3% of the properties that did not have an adequate comparable sales. The cost approach was used instead. So the tax assessor used the cost approach to determine value. But let's look and see, let's look at owner history. Okay, so we'll go down here. So the Krischkes bought this thing back in '94, so they've owned it a total of 24 years. They bought it for $140,000 back then. Good Lord. I'm sure it's worth more now, but probably not much more. So in any case, you can see if they're appealing the assessment. Remember, wherever you live, guys, you can always appeal your tax assessment, right? So they have not filed an appeal. I used to file appeals every couple of years on my properties. If the tax assessor raised the values, I'd go in and appeal them. Okay, so let's see the map view of the property. So here's the property. All right. Of course, there's a building next to it. Looks like you get this. Obviously, you can blow this up or shrink it down. Right. So we can do that and get a bigger view of the area. All right. But in any case, let's go back up and go back to tax information. I want you to look at this too, because we can actually see if the owner has been paying their taxes, right? And we can see that clearly they have been paying their taxes. So that's a good sign. Good for them, not so good for us. In other words, if we see the property taxes have not been paid, then perhaps we should send these people a letter, okay? In any case, you get to see the assessment, what the millage rate is, 4.73 in this example. So all this is extremely valuable information. You can also see the building information, the actual physical characteristics of the property, all right? In this case, it doesn't give you much, but it's basically a big square building. But if it was a house, you'd get a lot more information. Then, of course, you got general information. All right. Now, what I want to do right now, guys, is I'm going to skip over to, this is the screen we started at, by the way. I want to show you some more information here, all right? So we now know how to determine what areas we look in. We've gone from macro view to the micro view. And we also now know how to look at individual properties, right, on the county's tax assessor database. The thing is, though, we're not going to send letters to every property in those in the area, right, in that carrier route. Okay, or let alone the zip code. So what we do is this: we go into public records. So let's just do that. Okay, this is an example of a results page from a search. Okay, this is public records. So let's just start over again. I'll go back here. I want to search by file date. Here you can key in the date. By the way, I always go back a week, so I want you to write that down. Unless you're living in an extremely rural area, in most cases you can search by a date range, and I would only go back a week because you'd be amazed at how many cases are filed in a week. And this is just arbitration. I'm just looking at the landlord-tenant cases, which are LT. LT means landlord-tenant. Okay, and the reason is I know there's a bunch of them. All right, you can look at divorce. I'll show you this other stuff later on, but for right now, let's assume we're looking at landlord-tenant cases. Right, so I click on any of them. Let's just click on Todd and Dunscombe. All right. By the way, what this tells you over here, it's an arbitration. The defendant appealed this case. All right. Here, the one before, Curtis versus Hampton, the plaintiff appealed it. What that means is we're looking at the county level, and the way this works in most states is this: the magistrate hears the case first. Somebody files a suit against somebody else. In the case of landlord-tenant cases, the owner is suing the tenant because they haven't paid the rent, or the tenant is suing the owner because they didn't replace the roof and it's leaked all over their stuff or something like that. But in any case, you can see over here, MDJ means magisterial district justice, okay? Appeal means somebody's appealing it, and here it tells you that the defendants made the appeal in this case, the plaintiffs made the appeal in this case. The plaintiff is who filed the suit, the defendant is who they filed the suit against. So let's just look at one of these LT cases here, Todd versus Dunscombe. You click on that. Oops, I must have timed out. Let's go ahead and go back in here. So log in. So I think we said we're going to do a date range. Actually, we got to do this. Search. Search by case or filing date. So we're going to search, what do we say, October 30th through November 6th. That's 1 week. We're going to apply it. And then we're going to look at arbitration again. And we'll hit search, okay? So here's all those cases. Let's go back here. Todd versus Dunscombe. Filed on today, actually, right? And you guys saw the numbers there. This is an amazing tool because it gives you all the filings. You can go back as far as you want, but you can see why you really don't need to go back more than a week. Look at all this. So here's the deal. Robert Todd, the plaintiff, probably owns 219 9th Street in Pittsburgh, 15215. All right, he clearly lives at 3607 Forbes Trail Road in Murraysville. Okay, so what we're going to do is, we know this guy, the plaintiff, is suing the defendants. These are probably tenants who are roommates. Driscoll Smith and Ronil Dunscombe are probably roommates, and they're not paying Robert Todd his rent. Let's go see if we can see what's going on here. All right. Don't see an attorney's information there. We got the judge, Pat Connolly, Arbitration Center, Department of Court Records is where everything's being held. Down here you can see this, okay? So let's just do this. Order of court, date 11/6, the defendant is permitted to proceed without payment of costs or fees. What this means is the defendant appealed the case, and they're going to be allowed to proceed without filing any. They don't have to pay any fees. How about that? Okay. Rent paid was $280. Down here, defendant's appeal. So this is Elisa Marie Lang. On today's date, judgment for the plaintiff. She ruled on plaintiff to file a complaint within 20 days to service or suffer the judgment. All right, tenant's monthly rent is established by the justice is $840, so the tenant's got to pay that. All right, notice of rental payments filed. Defendant's monthly rent payment is $840. Defendant made first payment on 11/6 of $280. Defendant's next payment must be made by 11/26 of $560. Additional payments must be made at the 6th of each of the following months, beginning December of $840. Notice of appeal sent by first-class mail to the plaintiff, the district justice, Department of Court Records. So we don't really care about this stuff, guys. I just want to show you what you can see there. What we really care about is this. We want names and addresses. So we're pretty sure now Robert Todd does not live here at 219 9th Street. He owns it, and he's renting it to these two guys. So let's go look at 219 9th Street in Pittsburgh, 219 9th Street. So let's go back here. 219 9th Street, do new search. Address, remember we can look by lot and block. So if you search by lot and block, you've got to have at least this information right here, the first one. That's called the lot, okay? All right, and everything else can be blank. You type that in, and you get everything that's in that lot. But let's go back to address. We said that was 219 19th Street. And let's just key that in and see what comes up here. So 15215 was a zip. Actually, let's go back to the court record. 219 19th Street. 219 9th Street. I'm sorry, 219 9th Street. That should sure solve that. There we go. All right, so that's in Sharpsburg. 219 9th Street, Sharpsburg, 219th rear. All right, so there's two addresses. Let's look at this one here. HMT Holdings Revocable Trust. Looks like holds the one that's in this that we're discussing here. So let's see the owner's address down here, see if it matches. Okay, so this is 3607 Forbes Trail. Let's go back to the court records. And sure enough, there it is. Robert Todd lives at 3607 Forbes Trail. So a couple lessons here. Number one is, if you remember in the court record, I'm sorry, in the county tax assessor data, it doesn't list Robert Todd as the owner. It lists HMT Holdings. So what we now know is, because of the court record, we know that guy's first name. We don't have to send a letter to HMT Holdings. We can say, dear Bob, or dear Robert, or dear Mr. Todd, send in a letter, okay? And we just confirmed that this is in fact one and the same person. So now that letter we can send to this owner and every other owner out there who's evicting tenants. Now, do you think you might get much higher response rates when you send that letter to specific owners of specific properties who are evicting tenants? So let me just bring the panel back here and make sure we have no outstanding questions. So hang on just 1 second. Let me go through these real quick. Okay, so let's see questions here. Let's see, Genevieve's asking, okay, there's nothing like Allegheny in Canada, is there? Yeah, I've actually found this, Genevieve. and like, out where I live in London, London's in Middlesex County, and you can actually find this information out. Sometimes you have to actually go to the courthouse downtown and have them help you get started searching. But if you look, Genevieve, on the silver level membership area, there's lots of websites for Canada that you can use to research. Actually, let me go there real quick, guys, and I'll show you this, okay? So if you go to myinvestmentservices.com, okay, and you click on members area, and you click log into silver level, okay? So let's see, Gary Wilson, hopefully remember me, we'll see. There it is, okay. So on the left-hand side, guys, you scroll down, you can click on marketing techniques and docs, but also down here, analysis, forms, and calculators from training modules. So lots of good information here. So we go into here, look down here. We can see that there's links discussed in class. Here's additional resources for Canada. So let's click on this and open that up. Okay. And we get to see there's Canada Post, there's Canada Census, Statistics Canada, other links. So here we go, Genevieve. Propertyline.ca. You can search stuff there. All right. This is property data from tax records. Okay. Foreclosures, you can use this. This is actually a private site. It's like a paid site, if I remember correctly. Here's all your court records. Okay. There's Ontario ON. Okay. Postal code targeting. This is how you can target different owners with mailing campaigns. But that's all in there. All right. And if we go back to the website, there should be other resources. Let's see up here. Hang on one second. There's the owner. Okay, here's important free resources to gather data on people in proper places. So here's directories. You can go into there and see everything you want to see as far as searchable databases. BRP publications is great. Okay. Here's your Canada Land Trust data, Canada Land data, all right. NR Canada. That's basically a geo database, right? There is Canada's assessment links, US flood map and portal search, biz journals at your book of list. You can see for every area who are the top people in any industry. It gives you their contact information too, guys. Literally name, phone number, email address, even physical address. And there's the same thing in Canada. So all this stuff is available to you on that My Investment Services website. There's another one up your way, Genevieve. It's I think it's JLR. J is in January, L is in Lamb, and R is in Robert. JLR. I believe it's .com. But if you Google JLR, you should see that too. I think there's a couple of good research tools here. All right, so let's go back to where we were. We were looking at that. Where were we? Yeah, I think this is where we were. Okay, so let's do this, guys. We've gone over how to use public records and property tax records, and also Melissa to narrow things down dramatically. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to show you how to use banks. Okay, I'm going to show you how we use banks to find properties. So let's go to here, and what I'll do is I'm going to start from scratch. Okay. Remember, this is the website. It's basically bank tracker, investigative reporting, workshop.org/banks. Remember, this is all in your material, right? Everything in here is in your material. So if you go back to that resource page, let's see here. I don't think it's on this. We got to close this out. If I go back here, is that going to take me where I want to go? Yeah. Financing doc, tax strategies. Let's see, investor booklet, mailer to owners. Let me go back down here. I think these links are actually in all of your training material. I'm just going to see if they're on the website too. Rental properties calculator. Yeah, they're all going to be in your training material, guys. So let's go back here. So if you type in investigativereportingworkshop.org, banktracker.investigativereportingworkshop.org/banks. It's in your material, but if you want to go ahead and jot that down, feel free. It's kind of a long name, but it's really important because this is an awesome, awesome tool. It's updated on a regular basis, and it was originally created by American University grad students down near Washington, D.C. Okay. There's more than 7,000 banks on here. You can search by bank or credit union. Okay. You can see all the failed banks, right, in prior years. So let's just type in a bank. Let's see. I'm trying to think. Yeah, Doug. I think I saw you're on here tonight. So let's type in Standard Bank down here. We're going to be looking with Terry Rogney. Okay. Let's see. We don't want to do anything with that. I thought that had to come up before. Here we go. Here it is. Standard Bank in Murraysville. Let's click on that, and there, voila. All right, guys. Let me show you how we use this. You type in the bank name. It gives you this graph that shows you if that bank has non-performing assets. Okay. First thing is the blue bar is the national average. All right. So Genevieve, up in Canada, we don't have this tool available. There actually is a website you can use, the one I just showed you a moment ago, to see foreclosures. But the reality is if you know that one of the Canadian banks has taken over a property or properties, you can actually go to the bank itself directly, because in Canada, see guys, in Canada, what a lot of Americans don't know is Canada does not sell their mortgages. In the United States, all the big banks sell their mortgages. And in Canada, we don't. That's why in Canada, there was never a recession, because there was never a blow up of all those bad loans. It was just nonsense, but it never happened in Canada because they don't allow it. But in any case, back to this. Blue bar is the national average. The gold bar tells you this bank does in fact have loans that are in default. These are people whose loans are in NOD status. Now check this out, guys. See, people have been talking about this shift now since 2016, this next recession. Look at here in 2017 what happened to the level of foreclosures. It's coming down a wee bit, but it definitely spiked up. People will say, well, there's no more foreclosures out there. There definitely are. I mean, you just got to look for them. This bank was up to 5% at one point. I mean, it's literally 1 out of every 20 mortgages was in default. Okay, so that's a bank I would go visit. And here's more information. Let's look at more information that's provided. I'll show you how I really know whether I'm going to go visit this bank. Number one is we get to see the asset base for the bank. This bank is basically between 2016 and 2017 has nearly doubled in size. Okay, loans and all assets and deposits, and definitely loans. Everything's doubled. The loan loss provisions. Look at this. They originally had 61,000 in loan loss reserves. They now got 276,000. So here's what's interesting. The bank size has doubled, but yet what they put in loan loss reserves has gone up by a factor of more than 4, almost 4.5 times, right? All right. So the bank's profit has gone up, a nice healthy clip. They're capitalized, a nice healthy clip, not quite double, but getting close there. There's what they have in reserves, right? Non-accruing loans, other real estate owned. So this REO, all right, that means these are properties they've actually already taken back in foreclosure. In other words, these banks are no longer in the gold bar. These houses are not in the gold bar. These houses here on the REO, it stands for real estate owned, it's an accounting term. They don't have much, but this is probably 2 properties. You can probably go there and pick up yourself a good deal. But here's what I really look at, guys. Check this out. Troubled assets. These are loans that are in trouble. Originally, they had almost $1 million in troubled assets. All right. And now they got over 3 million. In other words, the loans that are in trouble have tripled. They're triple what they were over a 1-year period. That's not good. And by the way, if you see they got 3 million in troubled assets and the loan loss provisions only 276, is that the kind of bank you might want to go visit the very next day? So let's do this. Let's bring this back over here and look for some answers here. Let's see. Oh, we got to see. This is William, Juliet, Lima, Romeo, JLR. Yeah, so let's Google that. I don't use it much, Bill. But let's JLR. Let's just do. I think it's a .com. Pretty sure that's what it is. It could be a .org or .ca. Yeah, this is Jaguar Land Rover. We don't want to do that. So JLR.ca. Let's see what comes up here. Did it bring up? Oh, here we are. Yeah, there it is. English and French. All right. So Genevieve, if you look at this, I know a lot of the guys in Rock's Market Center up there, they use this tool. Okay. It's great for here. Let's click on this. Whoops. That's in French. We need English. Hang on one second. Let's see. I don't know how to get this in English, but in any case, Genevieve, if you can read this, I know you probably speak much better French than I do. Real estate professionals can use this tool to find out all kinds of information on your area. It's an awesome tool. You can definitely get it in English. Here we go. English. Bingo. Sorry about that, guys. Just click on real estate professionals, right? With services, complete range of solutions to help them do their business. How to, let's see, create mobile applications, blah, 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 blah. Let's see, geometrics and cartography. In any case, lots of great tools where you can find out ownership information. Basically, Genevieve is what I was referring to. You can get owner information by using this tool here up in Canada. Okay, so back to this, guys. Let's go back to where we were, Standard Bank. I would definitely go visit this bank because of their troubled assets ratio. The level of troubled assets is far exceeding their loan loss provisions. And I'm not saying all these loans are going to end up in the REO status, but let's face it, they've got almost 1/6 of their troubled assets so far has gone into REO status, and that REO status is actually greater than the loan loss provisions. That is not a good sign for that bank. Good for us, but not for the bank. So in any case, it's starting to happen more and more. New Jersey's leading the pack. If you're in New Jersey, you want to invest in New Jersey, you're going to find foreclosures there first in this next shift. It's already starting to occur. So let's do this, guys. Let's bring back the panel again, because if there's no more questions, I'm going to go ahead and go back where we started from, which is the letter. Okay. Oh, hey, by the way, real quick, one more thing. See the letter, check off list, links. There's one more thing I want to show you. It should be over here. It is. All right. I'm also going to have Beverly send this to you. This is the transcription of a webinar we did about 2.5 years ago, almost 3 years ago now, where we went over step by step the instructions on how to use the letter. Okay. It's all in here. Everything you could possibly want to know about how to use the letter. It's all in here. So you'll get that too. It's also available to you. There it is. We talk about BRB publications. It's also available to you online, but we'll go ahead and send it out to you. Describes how to actually use the letter. Now, speaking of the letter, let's just take a few minutes and go over it. All right. I do this almost on a daily basis, but repetition is the mother of learning. So let's go ahead and go over it again. It always starts with this. Remember, we're sending this letter to specific owners of specific properties, right? So when we do this, and by the way, there's no letterhead. You can see clearly no letterhead at all. The salutation is always name specific. In this case, dear Clay, right? We send this letter to Clay Smith. We're going to address him as Clay by his first name. I'm writing to you about your property located at 17 Elm Lane in Etna, right? So we name his property specifically, and we do that, we definitely get their attention. We're going to capitalize on that attention by using what's called a positioning statement, which is this. I'm not suggesting you sell your property if you don't want to. Now, you know as well as I do, we actually are suggesting that you sell your property, because remember, the subconscious mind doesn't understand negative. Everything it sees is in a positive. So what it sees is sell your property. That's what gets stored and registered. But more importantly, when we start something in a negative, I'm not, this is not, he's not, she's not, the human brain is wired to go and do the opposite. It's called, the language pattern is called, if not, then what? In other words, if it's not this, then what is it? And we satisfy their need to solve that dilemma because it creates a subconscious, it's basically called being out of balance. Subconscious is now open to suggestion. And we give them a statement of fact, which is this. However, inventory is tight right now, which establishes credibility. All right. And I have clients, plural, in this case, like Mr. Metajasic. And guys, this is a real person from our database, not a made up name. It's a real name. And for all the investors on the line, what we would say here is, and I am interested. I want to buy a property just like yours, instead of referring to a client by last name and the third party. Okay, you want to buy a property, 4-unit building, this example, just like yours in your area. Every part of this power statement is very powerful, but the name makes it really powerful, okay? That's why I specifically sought you out. So we're going to soften the reader up. We predefined our audience, pre-selected them. We're going to soften them up, okay? And then make our offer. Even if you're just curious about what your property would sell for, please let me know. I'll be glad to give your free evaluation, okay? In any case, now, is there any fluff at all in that letter? There's absolutely not. It's total skin and bones. The shorter we made it, the higher the response rate went up. You can type yours. I can't type mine because I can't even, I mean, I have to type mine. I can't handwrite them. You can handwrite them, I guess is what I was trying to say. And when you handwrite these letters, the conversion rate does go up by about 3 percentage points, all right? Very, very awesome. It's an awesome letter. And I know people say, I get letters all the time. Well, I guarantee you don't get this letter. This letter has no letterhead, number one. We're not using the yellow letter tool. That's old. That's like 15 years old now. We're using real authentic, good old fashioned paper, a number 10 legal envelope. The envelope we use is a number 10 legal. That's the description of it. Always handwrite the recipient's name and address. Okay. And of course, always handwrite your address. Now, back to the letter. Even if you do type it like I do in a Word document, you always should hand sign it. The other thing too, guys, is you can use what's called sort merge. So let's say you do your research, or your admin does your research for you. You can create or file an Excel spreadsheet of all the names and addresses, okay? And you can use the import function, or sort merge function, excuse me, to plug in the first name up here and the address down here. Pretty neat, nifty tool. So you can break out a lot of letters very quickly. All right. In any case, back to the envelope. The reason we have you handwrite your name and address on the envelope and the recipient's name and address is because we want them to open it. So if you look at your mail every day, you generally throw away the postcards and the glossy pamphlets and all that, and all the barcode and mail and the meter mail. But the ones where your name and address is handwritten generally get open. Would you agree? Yep, that's right. In any case, that's pretty much it for tonight, guys. For those of you who are really interested in cranking out a lot of letters, there now is a mechanical tool you can get. It actually, it's not electronic, it's not digital. There are ways you can do basically electronic writing where they try to mimic your handwriting, but you can tell the difference. You can tell it's computer generated. But these mechanical devices are actually quite sophisticated, and they're also very expensive, and you cannot tell a difference. It's actually mechanically writing just as if you wrote it yourself. But again, they're pretty expensive. So in my situation, just hire a virtual assistant, have them do all that legwork. You can maybe send them a signature stamper with their signature on it. That's okay. You can do that if you want. But the bottom line is, awesome tool, guys, to go out there and get yourself some inventory. All right. Okay, let's see. Fassel is asking, hey Fassel, how you doing, buddy? How many letters should someone send a month? So we generally, Fassel, send these up to 12. It's a direct response, so you send as many as 12. The frequency just depends on the audience. You know, if it's, you know, generally you can send it once a month, but you can send it every other week if you want. But the number of iterations is 12. Okay. Let's see. You're welcome, Al. Good to have you on board. Matter of fact, good to have all of you on board. I appreciate you being Alert and Awaken Alive tonight. So we will see you next week on Wednesday the 14th, same time, 7 p.m. Eastern. And if you want to go over a specific subject next week, please just let me know. We are looking to arrange a guest speaker from Arcana Insurance. Arcana Insurance is a national provider. They are an affiliate of RIA, or excuse me, a vendor, approved vendor, and they insure multi-unit properties, rental properties, mixed-use properties. So they're a great service partner of ours, and they've agreed to come on and do a webinar for us. We don't know if it's going to be this month or next month yet, but I'll keep you posted. But in any case, you guys have a wonderful evening, a good rest of the week and weekend. We will see you next week. And in the meantime, God bless you and your families. All right, take care, guys. We'll see you next week. Bye-bye.